This is the Weigh-In Podcast by Ben Chestnut and the occasional Puppy and Sylvester Merrill. On this week's Weigh-In, we're going to talk to you about that Conor McGregor Max Holloway fight because whew, I like it. It's heating up, and I think it's going to be good. But nonetheless, that is going to be this week's Weigh-In. So if we jump right into this one, first and foremost, I have full faith in McGregor that McGregor will win the fight. That Conor's going to win that fight. I know a lot of people think otherwise. That no, he's washed up. No, he's not washed up. But let's take a look at that. So it's going to look good. That's going to be UFC 329. So let's talk about that card for you. So we're going to talk about the preliminaries because that's what they have done. They don't really have these early prelims. It's heating up, man. We got Cody Garbrandt on there. All right, let's start from the beginning. We got Ozzy Osborne versus Cody Durant at a flyweight. We got a women's flyweight, Tracy Cortez versus Wang Kong. If I'm saying that correctly, that's a women's flyweight. At bantamweight, we have a bantamweight fight. It's Adrian Yankees versus Cody Garbrandt. In middleweight, we have Damian Pinas versus Cesar Almendia. In a featherweight bout, we have Luke Riley versus Kai Kumaka. In a light heavyweight bout, we have Robert Whitaker versus Nokita Krutlevov. And when we jump over to this main card for y'all, the main card, we got Conor. Well, let's start at the bottom. So this is an interesting one, an interesting connotation that a lot of people have really. This is one that I know if you know. We got our wrestling guy making his UFC debut at heavyweight, Gable Steepson. Yep, yep. They done took Steepson to the UFC. It's versus Elijah Ellison. Then we have a flyweight bout after that. It's going to be Brandon Royval versus Loner Ganganahaf. Then you have a bantamweight bout after that with Corey Sanhagen versus Mario Batista. And the co-main lightweight Benoit St. Dennis versus Patty Hemley. And our main event that night, the one that I don't know about y'all, but I'm waiting for that one, is that Conor McGregor, Max Holloway. But to be honest with you, I'm excited for Patty Pemlet to fight, Gable Steepson to fight, and then in the preliminaries, I'm excited to see Cody Garbrandt fight. So I got a few fights on that card that I really can't wait to see. It's going to be good. I really do. And I think that's going to be a good one. That is going to be July 11th. For those who don't know, July 11th. We'll get that going for you. July 11th. And that would be Conor McGregor versus Max Holloway. I guess they're saying it's a 2. I guess they fought before. Let's take a look at Conor's fight history. When they fought, he says Max Holloway and Conor McGregor fought before. So I'm going to get you that one. Yeah. August 17th, 2013, McGregor Holloway. McGregor won by unanimous decision. Wow. I don't know. I don't know. I want McGregor to win. Like I fully think McGregor's gonna win, but the problem I have here is why I really don't know is because like we talked about revenge, and avenging a loss. We talked about that. I'm pretty on this pod. We talked about it, and I'm pretty sure Max Holloway wants to avenge his loss from 2013, which is literally that is a long time ago, long, long time ago, and I'm pretty sure he wants to avenge that. I don't know who wouldn't, and that's just one of those things where it's like, wow, you know, it just there's a lot of athletes that have fought Conor and have got their revenge. Like Dustin Poirier got his revenge. There's a lot of them that that are after it and they want that revenge. So this is an interesting card if you really look at it. This is real interesting. Oh, this is gonna be good. You got Pemlet on the card, you got Garbrandt on the card. I just really think it's gonna be great, and that's UFC 329. That'll be Saturday, July 11th, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. T-Mobile Arena, Las Vegas, Nevada. And that's in the United States, obviously. But I'm just letting you know those are the details on the event for the fight card. Now, a lot of people think Max Holloway is going to win. A lot of people do. They say Holloway is going to destroy McGregor. I just don't agree with that. I really don't. I find it hard to believe that Max Holloway to destroy McGregor. Now, we have been surprised with Max Holloway, so it very well is possible for Max Holloway to go in there and put the work up against Conor McGregor. Now, I'm not saying it can't happen. I'm just saying I have full faith and believe in McGregor here. That he's got the walk, he's got the talk. I don't think Max Holloway is going to be able to do it. But you know what? I thought the same thing about Dustin Poirier, and we all know how that went. So there's that. We all thought the same thing. So it's great to see Conor back in the mix. It's a good thing to see Conor getting back in the mix, and this is definitely gonna get interesting. It's gonna get real interesting for McGregor and all of that because to see Conor back in the mix, I think that's gonna be great. That's gonna be great. Many of you might not think, but I definitely do. I definitely do think that it's gonna be good for the fans and for everybody because think about it. You know. So as the stuff develops, we'll find out. But you don't get no better than this. You don't get no better than this. Good old UFC. Well, it's like we said, Connor has surprises in some time when everybody thought Jose Aldo was going to beat McGregor. The way he went out there and did that, Conor McGregor is, he's Connor. He is the way he is. You just don't really see that often. The way Connor does. You don't see that often where you see everybody believe a guy's gonna win and he doesn't. You know what I mean? Like you just don't see it. You don't. It's very hard to see. It's just not something that's. It's not common. That's what I'm getting at. It's not common to see McGregor. I mean, to see that. It happens, but it's just like a lot of times when everybody thinks a guy's going to win, truly, it does happen that way. And that's just truly what happens. I don't. I mean, there are times when we have not seen that happen, but there are very. There are not that many. If you understand, there are not that many. There are not that many. It's not really that many, honestly. Honestly, it's not that many. And I think in terms of McGregor, I think it's a great thing. I think Conor's going to be able to do great things. I think he's going to be able to go over there and show all nice things. But I think we have to ask ourselves, what kind of version of McGregor are we going to get? We don't. Honestly, if nobody knocks anybody out, I'd like to see this go the distance. And it's very few times you hear me say that because I think that Connor's great, and him and Holloway, the first time they fought, it went the distance, and I think that for it to go the distance again, I'm not going to be surprised at that. But also, we have to look at Max Holloway is he's not an easy guy to knock out. He's very, he's got a strong chin. Like, there's no guy out there that you turn around and you see get a last second knockout other than guys like Max, you talk about that, and that's, that was Max Holloway, Justin Gaethje. Like, we all know Justin Gaethje is pretty good. And to turn around and see something like that, you don't see it often. You just don't. You just don't. Somebody to be in literally the last second. Who Justin Gaethje, whose last fight he beat Patty Pemlet, and then he's gonna fight Tupora at the UFC Freedom 250. That's crazy. That's crazy. That it's just as crazy. But it's gonna be good. It's gonna be good. It's gonna be good. Right now Justin Gaethje is the interim champ. He's the interim champ, so that's gonna be really good. Ilya Tapor and Justin Gaethje on the Freedom 250. But but that's what I'm saying. Like, you get a guy like Justin Gaethje, and you knock him out like last second. Like, that's not a common thing to knock somebody out last second like that. So that's just kind of why I say that, is because it's not common for that to happen, to go and have a guy knocked out really last second. You know, So I really have some credit to Max Holloway for that, but I also do very well think that Max Holloway. We have to ask ourselves what kind of version of McGregor we're going to get. We haven't really seen McGregor in a long, long time with all the things that have gone on. So it's a question to what version of McGregor are we going to get, and if we get the right version of Conor, man, it could be a good fight. It could be a really good fight. That's why I'm saying it depends on what version of McGregor we get. Because the right version, this could be an amazing fight. It could be a real amazing fight, and that's why I say it depends on what version we get. Because really, it could be good if we get the right version of McGregor and a good Max Holloway. Well, I mean, I already think Max Holloway is good right now, but my point here is like if we get a good McGregor, if we get a good version of McGregor, not a, you know, I think during some of those Dustin Poirier fights, I feel like we saw a lazy version of Conor. I think if we get a better version of Conor, a harder working Conor here, I think it could line up to be a really good fight. Granted that he takes it serious. This is what we talked about here on the pod: is that you got to you got to take fights serious. You can't get into a fight and not take it serious. That's one of the things that we have been here and said, that you got to start taking stuff serious. You can't get yourself into a fight and then not take it serious. That's the problem. So that's one of the reasons why I say, hey, you gotta take it serious. Can't get into a fight and not take it serious. It's just you can't. It's not a good idea, and you got to you have to take it serious. And I think in terms of it, as long as Conor takes it serious and doesn't lag off with it, I think it should be a great fight. But like I said, it all depends on what version of Conor we get, because not every version is the best version. You know what I mean? It all depends. You don't know what version of a fighter is going to come out and fight. And I say that because you want to have the best of the best out there. You want the best guy to put the best version of their own self out there. You don't want something where it's like, it's not a good where it's not a good. I guess my point is where it's not a good version of themselves, where they're not proud of the performance they put on. I kind of feel like you got to kind of have a good version no matter what of somebody out there. It's got to be the best possible version that they can do. And that's where I kind of come in on all of this, is like, hey, you got to have a good version. Yo, give me a second. Y'all gonna, you got to do well. And that's one thing we talk about here, is that, we got Conor coming back, but Conor's been away a long time. Are we really going to see a good version of Conor coming out? Yes, we can, but that doesn't mean we will. It's one of those things where it's like, you can, but will you? So it's kind of like, to what may happen. It's like, on one hand we might, and on the other hand we might not. It's like you just kind of, you don't know what kind of version of Conor you're going to really get out of this, with him have had being away for so long. You don't really know, and that's one of the things that you look at and you're like, will you or will you not? That's one of the things you kind of look at and you say, interesting, very fairly interesting, for that connotation that you kind of feel like, okay, what version of Conor will come out and want to fight this fight, and depending on that version, that will explain so much more to the type of Conor that we're going to see. I just think it it tells to the character of where the fight may go, and I'm pretty sure you're going to find that out. I really think you're going to find that out in the first round. Going to find out what version we've got in the first round. By the way they take this fight, I mean, leading up, I mean, even in the press conferences, we will learn what kind of, I mean, we know what kind of version of Conor's going out there. We know he's already posting left and right between Instagram saying he's going to beat Max Holloway. So it really is something interesting. Now, we hope this isn't just a one and done fight. We hope, Conor comes back for more and more. We hope he's able to go in there and show at least something that, this is Conor McGregor. This is McGregor. This isn't just a nobody. It is McGregor. So, that's a fairly interesting thing that I think is very interesting is that we want to see a good Conor out there. We want to see a good version that comes out there and does exactly what we would like to see. Good old fashioned McGregor. That's what we're looking for here. Good old fashioned McGregor. And I think that's something that will do very well. I mean, with everybody looking at how they're getting to do the Freedom 250 UFC White House fight and being able to do a lot of things like that, I think it's going to be fairly interesting to be able to see Conor McGregor get out there and do what he does best. I say that because Conor's a great individual. We've seen great fights out of McGregor. We've seen really good stuff, and to not see something good from McGregor for me is rather shocking. It would be rather shocking because Conor's been he hasn't fought in a long time, but you look at that and that doesn't really change it. There's plenty of fighters that come back and start fighting and they're okay, and there are others that are not. So it's fairly interesting to what version of Conor we're going to get on this, and that's going to be the best part is monitoring what version of Conor comes out because it's going to be good. With a good McGregor, with a good Conor, I think it's going to round itself up to be a really good fight, and that's what the best thing I can hope for Conor is take it serious. Take it serious. That's the only thing I can tell him is take the fight serious. Do not take it serious because if you don't take the fight serious, you're going to put yourself in the same little boat like before, and you're going to end up in my best opinion, you're going to end up, losing again or getting hurt. I kind of feel like you got to take this serious. We talked about this in boxing in terms of, you got to take stuff serious. We talked about it. And, and in terms of Dana White, he has done really well putting the fighters out there, but it's the fighter themselves that's got to prepare themselves. Dana doesn't really have nothing to do with that, and that's the best thing I can say is that that's just typical. That's just the way the game works. The fight game works, and I think that's just the way it goes. And as far as it's concerned in terms of that Max Holloway, Conor McGregor, I think it's going to be good. It's good for Max Holloway to finally, if Max Holloway wins to get his revenge, avenge his loss from all those years ago. And if Conor wins, it's good to come back, and show him that, hey, I still got it. And that's what I think this is here. This is Conor coming out and saying he still got it. And I do think he does kind of still got it. I do think that's I do think that's Conor for you. He wants to get out there and still do what he does best. This is just one of those EPs that, we get to talk about this stuff. We get to do what we do, but we'll find out that night. We know we're getting the same Conor we've always got, that talking a lot of trash and in most cases backing it up. In a lot of cases backed it up. There are very few cases where he didn't back it up. He said he was going to be Jose Aldo. Look what happened. In a lot of his fights he came into, they talked about, when he fought so many of his fights, we saw so much. So let's really look at some of these where we can talk about Conor. Some of these McGregor fights. Some of these McGregor. Like let's talk about these McGregors. So, from Donald Cerrone, he talked a lot of trash. Khabib, he talked a lot of trash, but he lost. During Alvarez, he talked a lot of trash. What happened? He won that fight. Diaz number 1, he talked a lot of trash, but he avenged that in Diaz number 2. And Jose Aldo, he talked a lot of trash, and he did it. The Mendes fight, Mendes fight was a one where Mendes was like, "Hey, I'm gonna wrestle you. Conor can't wrestle. Conor can't this. Conor can't that." And we all know what happened to Mendes. So, given that, in the first Poirier fight, he talked a lot of trash. What happened? Conor TKO'd the Poirier, Dustin Poirier. Obviously he got his revenge in sweet style. He got his revenge. Now McGregor, uh, Brand Brando, I think is his name, Brando. And a lot of McGregor's fights, he talked like he fought Brimage and won. He fought Holloway and won. He fought Brimage in 2013, April 6th. Then he fought Holloway August 17, 2013. Then 2014. Wow, that's a long break here. Let's break this down. McGregor had a fight July 17, 2013. He fought Max Holloway. He doesn't fight again till July 19th, 2014. Almost a whole year. Wow. It tells you. Now, I don't know why that is the case, but probably it could be plenty of things. But most cases in fighting, it's injuries. And then you had him fight Bernardo, and he beat Bernardo. Then you had him fight Poirier. He won against Poirier. Then he fought Silver. He beat him, TKO. You look at, he had a 3 TKO streak going up to 2015. Then he fought Mendes, and it became, a 4. Then he turned around, he fought Aldo, and it was another TKO. It was the only person that stopped it was Diaz. Diaz stopped the TKO streak. But you look at that, and you say, what version of Conor are we going to get? Not this later version where he lost to Diaz and he was able to beat Diaz. Then he was able to beat Alvarez. Then after that, he lost to Khabib. Khabib was a great fighter. There's no doubt about it. You don't. That's a once in a lifetime fighter. Khabib. Khabib was 29-0. They called him the Eagle. Wow. That's what I'm telling you. Khabib is that's a UFC legend right there. That's like there's no doubt about it. That's bigger than the Hall of Fame right there. 29-0. Not one draw, not one loss. That's what you call a true fighter. Now you talk about he lost to Khabib. Then he beat Cerrone. Then he turns around, he lost to Poirier. Then the second time he lost, it was TKO doctor stoppage. You talk about that's the kind of McGregor we've had. We talked about this. When you look at Conor is really good when it comes to stand up. It's really good. It just is one of those things where it's like, wow. He faded really well against Alvarez. He did really well against Mendes, where Mendes talked about, this is what we're talking about. It depends on what version you get, because Max Holloway can stand up. We all know that from Justin Gaethje fight. Max Holloway can stand up. So it's a question of where McGregor is going to want to take this fight, because, when you look at that, Max Holloway can stand up. Max Holloway can stand up. And it's no secret that Conor can't really wrestle. He might have learned a little bit more, but it's no secret that Conor can't wrestle. That's not a secret at all. That's just like, there's no secret about that one. To be honest with you, there's no secret with it. I mean, it's fairly honest. Conor can't wrestle. I mean, there's no other way to put it. That's just one way to light it up. Conor can't wrestle. So, amidst this little episode to talk about that Max Holloway, Conor McGregor, I wanted to touch basis on that. That is a really good event that's coming up, and that I think will be really good. And I also want to talk about UFC 329, which is same thing, same card. I just thought that this was, one of those epis to get out there and do that. But with that being said, we're in the end of the epi. So really, I brought you this one. To all of those that had yesterday off, that is a great thing, and I wanted to bring you this type of epi so we can keep that streak going. Keep going. So with that being said, this is the weigh-in by Benoit Chestnut and the occasional pop-in Sebastian Merrill. Please like, comment, subscribe, and share. We're gonna grow. We're gonna grind this out, but nonetheless, that is all I got for this. Weigh-in out.
The way in where stories ignite.